If you were able to listen into the minds of the majority of people you pass on the streets, what you'd likely hear is a lot of judgments, complaints, berations, and this isn't just about other people, a lot of it is actually about themselves. Hi again. I think it's a real big issue in society that people don't accept themselves enough. They find it extremely difficult to love themselves without compromise. If you think of yourself as being like a large structure, like a mansion or a castle, the language you use towards yourself can either fortify and strengthen the building, or it can make it crumble from the foundations. Every single one of us has the choice about what language we use towards ourselves. And yet what do most of us do? We say things that are negative about ourselves, we talk ourselves down, we sabotage our own success by telling ourselves that we're not good enough or that we can't do it. It's really bad. And the problem is that with this is that you're sacrificing your own happy life because of the language that you're using inside of your mind. I think we can all remember times when we've said things to ourselves like, oh, why doesn't this person like me? Why aren't I good enough? Maybe I'll never be happy. Why do we do it to ourselves? It's crazy. So what I wanted to do in today's video is give some invaluable advice on how we can hopefully fix this. Now, by no means am I perfect in this regard. I say things that I shouldn't to myself sometimes, and it can be really difficult. But I think I've probably got a little bit of a handle on it, maybe more than most people, and I'll tell you what it's down to. It's down to, number 1, meditation. And number 2, reminding myself that I'm enough. Actually, I guess there could be a third here as well. The food we put in our bodies and the quality of sleep we get. Now, I've no doubt that there's people out there watching this video that will instantly dismiss meditation because they'll think it's like woo-woo or just some kind of spiritual weirdness that they don't want to do. But I'm telling you, meditation is probably the most important thing you can do to start feeling better about yourself. Because what I've found through meditation and mindfulness is that silencing the mind makes it much more easier to notice when you're disrespecting yourself. Even if you actually do believe that the words you're telling yourself is true, what you're doing by talking to yourself like that is putting yourself into a negative state. You're encouraging negative emotions and negative behaviour. And when we feel low, what happens? Our confidence goes down. We look to external things to raise it back up. So a lot of us will use alcohol, drugs, and that horrible phrase, retail therapy. It's not therapy when the feel-good emotions you get from buying new things is only temporary. To get real lasting happiness, those feel-good emotions need to come from inside. They need to come from within. You need to fully accept yourself and be content with how you are, even if you're not perfect. And that's not to say don't strive to keep improving and becoming a better person, but it's about accepting yourself as you are now. It's about looking in the mirror sometimes and telling yourself it's okay not to be perfect. How many of us actually do this? How many of us look in the mirror and tell ourselves, you are great, you are awesome, you are loved, I love you? Even if it feels awkward and cringy, just try it. Just try it for a week and see what happens, looking in the mirror and telling yourself that you love yourself. And by the way, if you want a clear indicator of how much you do love yourself, then just notice whether this is difficult for you or not. The more difficult it is, then chances are the more you are not accepting yourself enough. And when these feelings bubble up when you're doing this in the mirror, you're probably going to get some feelings that come up. And just allow them to be there. Don't try and fight them. Don't try and bury them. Just let them be there and just carry on saying to yourself the kind words, the affirmations. I want everybody to do this just for a week and see what happens. It'll be transformational for a lot of people, I'm sure. And by the way, don't be surprised if you begin to feel quite overwhelmed. It's a rare thing to actually love and accept yourself. But you'll most likely see little improvements every day, until one of those days you'll say it and it'll just feel completely true. There's so many things to feel thankful for right now, but one of the worst things about modern society is social media. The way it pressures people into wanting to look a certain way, girls having to have that perfect figure and guys having to have that chiseled physique. When I see these guys online that are pumped full of steroids, the first thing that comes into my mind is how discontent they are with themselves. I feel really sorry that they've took to abusing their bodies for people to like them. I truly believe that most guys get into the gym not just because they want to be healthy and look better, but because they're trying to prove something to the world, because they're craving that validation and acceptance. And I was no exception here, by the way. When I was in my late teen years, I was going to the gym trying to get a better body because I thought it would help me get girls. And while I do believe that muscles do help get girls, it was all for the wrong reasons. People who go to the gym and they're trying to get themselves to look as good as they can because they think people will like or respect them will never get enough of it. It will never be enough for them. They'll always be unhappy because they've never fully accepted themselves. It doesn't matter whether it's striving to have that perfect body or spending thousands of dollars on designer brand clothing or driving the flashiest car or trying to get rich and famous. And I'm here to tell you that none of that stuff matters. The real thing that makes people like you is accepting yourself. Real authenticity. That's what people love. They love to be around it. And how many people of us are actually like that? How many of us are truly, truly genuine? It's a really rare thing to see when someone is fully authentic and not needing anything or wanting anything from anybody else. Give yourself permission to feel good. You're not here to impress people. You're here to enjoy the gift of life. Don't waste that gift by caring so much what other people think. See you next time. Ciao.